So, by the time you're watching this, it will be the last day of grade 11 for me. Woohoo! And all I'm going to say is that it was one hell of a year. In this video, I'm going to walk you through my grade 11 year and the courses that I took, and hopefully I can rest assured knowing that it's all done. Until I go to summer school next week. Also, I just want to say a quick congratulations to the class of 2021. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Avery and I create videos about student life and tech on this channel. If at the end of this video you enjoyed what you watched, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel, as it really helps me out. It shows your appreciation for these videos and it also makes my relatives very happy. I also just want to say a huge thank you for 100 subscribers. I'm honestly so shocked, I'm so grateful for all the support that everyone has given me, and it really pushes me to make more content for all of you. Once again, thank you so much. Just for some background knowledge, my school year was split into 4 quarters, each being 10 weeks each. For each quarter, I had 2 classes that alternated between in-person and online learning each week. And also one of my courses were off timetable as well, which we'll get into later. Alright, it's now time to dive into my absolute dumpster fire of a school year. So, for my first quarter, I somehow ended up with both my grade 12 classes in the same quarter. Law Studies 12 and Computer Science 12. Law Studies 12 was actually quite a fun course. We pretty much learned all about Canadian law, things like the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, different types of crimes, analyzing cases, and suitable punishments for certain crimes. My favorite part in the entire course was when we had to create a case where a wrong was done to a person, and we had to present ourselves as lawyers for the victim of that wrong. Overall, it was definitely a course that I enjoyed, and I would probably give it a 7.5 out of 10 rating. And in case you're wondering, my grade at the end of Law Studies was 91%. Computer Science 12, on the other hand, was not that enjoyable of a course for me. This isn't really a knock on the teacher or the course, but it was during this period when I took computer science that I realized that I didn't really enjoy coding or programming that much. In Computer Science 12, we learned how to program in C++, and to be completely honest, that is all I remember from the course. It was just really difficult for me because I'm not really the type of person that is great at problem solving when it comes to coding. It's a good course for the right person, but for me, I would give it like a 5 out of 10. And I really don't know how the hell I squeezed out a 95% in that class. So for my second quarter, I definitely had a lot more fun, and I was genuinely happy with my courses, which were Creative Writing 11 and Physics 11. Creative Writing was a lot different than my previous English courses because we had so much more freedom than we've ever had before. We started off with short story analysis because that's what all our English courses do. Then we transitioned into more nuanced projects and assignments. We had to create a fiction story of some sort, and yeah, that was pretty much all the criteria, just create a fiction story. And we also had to do a review of a piece of media. But me being the tech nerd that I am, I chose to review my iPhone. This was a course that I definitely had a lot of fun in, and my class was amazing as well, and I would give it a 9 out of 10 rating. But physics, on the other hand, was quite a different story. I genuinely liked the content of physics, which was pretty much just applied and practical math. This is the kind of math that I personally enjoy more than theoretical math. And I also had a really enthusiastic teacher. But my class really did annoy me a little bit. Picture this. Have you ever been in a class with that one student that was so obsessed with their grades and marks? They would ask you after every test, what did you get? What did you get for answer for number 3? Every day they would ask, what are you getting right now? And they're constantly complaining about how they only got 96% on the last quiz. You can see how annoying this can get, especially when you yourself didn't do that well on a test. Now, my physics class didn't just have one of these students, it had around 4 of them. 7 out of 10, a good subject ruined by things I couldn't control. Now for the easiest and most fun quarter that I had this year. For my 3rd quarter, the only class I had was jazz band. Yep, just jazz band. But technically, I also had my wind ensemble course as well, but we'll get to that later. This was my first year ever taking jazz band, and I was super stoked, yet kind of nervous at the same time. Stoked because I've always wanted to try playing jazz, ever since I heard it played at one of our band concerts. But also nervous because of 2 reasons. One, I thought it would take a long time to get used to swing feel. And 2, I was super scared of improvisation, something that's done a lot in jazz. Little did I know that I would have the most fun that I've ever had playing music. The pieces that we played are still kind of stuck in my head today, and I never knew how fun soloing was. 10 out of 10, I would do it again in a drum beat. And even though this course was off my timetable, I'm going to include my wind ensemble band course in this section as well, just because this was around the time where we really started to ramp things up. So my band director, instead of putting wind ensemble into a 10-week quarter, moved it off timetable so that it would go for most of the year. For the first 2/3 of the course, we met in small groups and occasionally as a full band. But for this last third, we started to prep for a recording feature of one of our pieces. It's quite a long story as to how I ended up making the video, but I'll leave a link to the full video right here. Go check it out, as it took me a lot of time to make. But overall, 10 out of 10. What can I say? I'm a band kid, so I'm definitely biased. Alright, now time for the most stressful and chaotic quarter that I had this year. The final quarter of my grade 11 year consisted of Pre-Calculus 11 and French 11. 2 of my most demanding courses at the same time. Pre-Calculus 11 was one of the worst courses to take during a condensed 10-week period. There were times where I asked myself, am I going to be able to understand this before the test? And also, the tests were worth 95% of our overall mark. I adapted quickly to understand 2 things. One, I would basically have 1 test or 1 quiz every week. And 2, I would pretty much have homework or studying to do every day. At the end of it all, after spending countless hours studying and not understanding anything, I managed to squeeze out a solid 91%. Overall, I would give it a 6.5 out of 10. A senior math course plus a 10-week time period basically equals an excessive amount of stress. French 11 was also quite an intense course, but it didn't really feel like that for me. Don't get me wrong, at our school, we have a lot to do for French. During a regular school year, there would be 3 different units about different topics, and each unit, after learning everything, would have a unit test, an oral exam, and a project. But this year, French was actually quite watered down. We had one big unit about childhood that had that unit test, oral exam, and the project. And we also had one mini unit that we just finished that had none of that and just had some informal assessments. The one thing I really don't like about French is the amount of memorization that you have to do. You have to remember different tenses, the conjugations for those tenses, and also the irregular conjugations as well. It's a lot to remember, and it can get overwhelming for a lot of people. I'd give it an 8 out of 10 myself, but my advice is only take French if you really need it for something, whether it be a post-secondary requirement or if you're going into a field that requires a language. And that about covers my grade 11 year. It feels like it was literally yesterday that I started grade 11, but it also has felt like more than 2 years since I've done grade 11. And I still can't believe that I will be graduating next year. I'm really not prepared for that. And I'm definitely not prepared for application season that's coming up in like 3 to 4 months. As always, gently tap the like button, hit the subscribe button, and ring that notification bell to be notified whenever I release a new video. That being said, I'm gonna start decluttering my schoolwork from this year, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.